I'll be reporting for him. So I think, did Emma say that she was?
Yeah, Emma said she would, I texted her and she answered the survey. Nina's supposed to be online, I think. Who are we waiting on that said they were coming? I mean, I have it written down, I just didn't have it handy. So,
I think it's Shirley on.
whole point of the call, so let's see.
Shirley has a right to,
Okay, so,
Shirley's allowed to be call in, right?
Yeah.
Oh, she's not on anymore. Of course, you're right.
She's not on anymore?
A chair.
Sure.
It's not a,
Oh, I didn't know that.
After
who's the
72.
32 years?
Janina's.
Janina's.
Oh, I
announced it last month.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're
I
right.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, I just was conscious of her.
What's that, like, some that just changes song, not my generation, but.
You mean the David Bowie?
That's
David
what
Bowie
it is.
song? Changes.
All right, so are we on? Okay, so hello, everyone. Is this on? Okay, so we do not have a quorum yet. So who's on the panelists?
Sure.
I'm not signed into Zoom.
Laura.
Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We need one more person. So we are expecting.
More is remote, more can be
So-
remote.
Mars allowed to be remote.
Oh, she's not quorum.
no.
She's not quorum.
That's what I'm
though.
saying,
Sorry.
she's not
She's,
quorum.
She's on
No, it's,
vacation.
yeah, it's
Right.
not quorum.
Will,
So Chenault said he would be on Zoom, and Eugene said he would be on the Zoom.
Katie?
what about Will?
And
Katie, yeah.
Katie does not count.
I know
it.
And Emma, we're expecting in person. We're expecting Eugene, who counts for its quorum on Zoom. Janine is here.
I'll text
Chenault, we
Eugene.
were expecting on Zoom, which would count towards quorum.
No, I'll text Eugene.
Oh, Eugene.
I'll text myself.
And
You're already here. In body, if not in mind.
Will's not gonna be here. Donna's out, Anthony's out, Patricia's out. Berta will be here, but doesn't count towards quorum. David, I don't know if he'll be online, but he has a,
Doesn't count for quorum.
oh no, he would count, David would count for quorum, no? What form, what form? Yes,
he would
Yes,
work for
yes.
in whatever appearance he
yeah, yeah, so we need to think
Does
about-
extraordinary circumstance count for
No,
quorum?
it does not.
Oh, well, sorry.
It's okay.
does.
Can you go back to panelists just so we can?
Will,
Yeah.
you have a word from Will?
Will's not gonna be here, we already know.
So Eddie says,
For Will.
Eddie, right, but Eddie doesn't count.
He doesn't
for
count,
quorum.
Right.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm just,
That's
I'll
fine.
talk in his spot.
Is there anyone else online? I just can't see. I'm not signed in.
No, Katie or
Okay, no. So
No.
we're just missing one more person. So could someone text Eugene or Emma?
I already
And
texted.
speaking of, there he is.
I already
Okay,
texted.
so now we can get started. Okay, great.
Sorry about that.
Okay. That's all right. I hear sorry all day, so I tell my students not to say it because it's annoying. So just say appreciate your patience or like, let's just move on. I get it. It's all good. All good. I can't tell you. Okay, so it's 6:35. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Can I have a copy of the agenda, please? Thank you. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so let's go to, we're live. Okay, so it's 6:36 now. I'm going to call the July Executive Committee meeting to order. And I'm Valerie De La Rosa, I'm the chair, and we will get started. So the approval of the June Executive Committee minutes. Do I have a motion on the floor?
Motion to
approve?
approve.
Second.
Okay, so Janine and Susan. And then we'll go to the chair's report. So hello, everyone. Thank you for being here in person and online. We have a couple of different things to go over for the chair's report today. I'm trying to think of what some of the bigger highlights are that have been over the month, because we've had 2 borough boards happen since we last had a full board. So we were earlier last week. I know that there's a lot of dialogue happening on emails and texts about what's happening at Broadway Lafayette. There was a Post article, and we are working on a much larger initiative with the city. We're not quite ready. We don't know all of the details of it just yet. So everyone, please stay patient. Once that is ready, we will all talk of how the board will engage with that initiative. So I don't have anything to report further than that because I don't know much more than that at this point.
You called it what Lafayette?
Broadway Lafayette.
The subway station.
Yeah. It's possible that between now and full board, I might be able to have more information in my chair's report for that. But again, we're pacing this. I know there's a lot of pressure to meet about this issue, but there is something bigger that is going to connect more specific to the issues with different agencies. So once I have more to share, I will loop in the appropriate committees, and that's kind of all on that. I think in terms of thinking about, we're getting a lot of applications for public members intermittently. And I've got the list of like who is actually reapplied and not, and what threshold different committees have based on the bylaws, and you can't have more than 50%. So I will be reaching out individually. We've just these are all kind of coming in a little haphazardly. So I want there to be some sort of a bigger look at how we're going to address that, and in concert with where we're going to be placing people. So for instance, land use, I think, has 12 or 14 committee members on it. So we're not really looking to staff that with additional public members. That committee is just way too big. And then looking at how we stagger leadership and term limits and all of that. So I want to be thoughtful about that. And then really the last part for my chair's report among this group is really regarding quorum and just making sure that we're all, as committee chairs, kind of going back to the whole thing about time and our time and everyone's time, of just making sure that committee chairs are ensuring that before their meeting happens, that they have a good idea if they'll have quorum or not. I understand things happen, but the last thing that we want to have is to have invited guests, city agencies, agency leadership, here in the room or in a physical location where our guests far exceed, or the public far exceeds the actual board members. It's just, I don't think, very respectful to ourselves, to the work, and to the public wanting to be heard if it's a big issue. So I just ask specifically for, I understand that with the application committees, and I understand landmarks, we're working on a solution to staff up that committee more and get people trained so that they can be productive members of that committee. But that's just kind of my ask from everyone, of just ensuring that you have a quorum and that your meeting is staffed appropriately with the committee members on it. Otherwise, if it's not a deadline intensive agenda with an agency deadline, that you should postpone your meeting, because there is no purpose to having a meeting without a quorum. Any questions on that? Otherwise, I'll turn over to Mark for the chair's report.
I guess I have one question about quorum, which is, I think that's a really good point, to try to verify beforehand whether we will have quorum, but there's really nothing we can do if we don't. Is there? I mean,
I think we're not supposed to have the meeting, like the meeting shouldn't take place. Now, clearly, it does in most cases, and our culture has been to continue with it, and especially if it's a agency-driven deadline, then we just bring it before the full board and it gets voted on so that our voice is still heard. But in terms of the planning of it, you both know, you bring in speakers and whatnot, and organize schedules of busy city agency people or from nonprofits that to do all, you're also doing a lot of work to then not have your full committee there and not having business that's been able to be brought to the full board to vote on.
Yes.
Yeah, I've always been confused by that because I've been told, well, in that case, it has to be an informational meeting, which is fine because many of our meetings are primarily informational, but then of course, we always reserve the right to write a resolution. So sometimes we don't choose until we're in the room whether we want to write a resolution on that. And that's kind of awkward, right? You start out with a meeting with Bellevue, let's say, and you're just having a conversation. You don't have quorum, but that's okay. We just want to get a lot of information and share with the community. At the end of it, we say, you know, we really should have a position on this. Let's write a resolution on it. And then it becomes awkward because, well, we don't have a quorum in the room. So I don't know what we do about that.
I'm just gonna say, one thing you can do is if you don't think you have a quorum, is you can call up everybody on the committee and see if you can get someone to attend. I mean, that's the reality, is
What did you say?
you can call everybody on the committee. There might be someone who might have a little more flexibility.
What you really
Anything.
can't do, you can't run it.
Everyone
You
on the
call the
you
committee
can't run-
members,
You can't
encourage
run a
them.
meeting by phone. It has to be in presence, because then you're not meeting your, the legal requirements.
Yeah. And also, I mean, you know, if two people go out of town for work, I mean, you know, it really upsets the.
Which is one of the reasons we sometimes you'll bring a resolution to the executive committee. If you didn't have a quorum,
Yes.
you can bring it here, and it's not preferable, but sometimes if you want to get something through.
And I would say
discussion.
too, like, we really want to reserve this time, not for doing the board business, but for the think tank of all of us and collaborating on issues. And so if something is not timely, I don't recommend it be brought here if it's not an urgent.
You're right. It's a
matter.
sensitivity.
So let me give you an example and ask you how you would solve this. We have a meeting, there wasn't a quorum. We decided at the end that we did want to write a resolution. Those of us who were at the committee, at the meeting, drafted a resolution, haven't voted on it, obviously. It's not time sensitive, so we don't have to vote on it. We don't have to bring it to executive if you don't want. We can bring it back to in which case I would also reserve the report. I won't submit anything. I'll wait because the report and the resolution should come at the same time. Does that make sense?
No, you should submit a report,
I agree with
the report, so people know what's going on. It's just that there's no resolution submitted.
So I wait on the resolution.
Yeah.
And so the resolution comes out without a report attached to it.
I would just keep it all as one, to be honest. It's a little confusing.
Yeah, that's
Why-
fine.
Yeah, so I would just put it as one and.
And
that's
let it,
it.
and just
So-
vote on it.
Yeah, and
Okay.
you've emailed me about this directly, so I mean, I thought it was answered in there. It's really up to your preferences when you want to.
Yeah, that's fine. There's no urgency on it, so I'll just,
Um,
or whatever. Maybe we won't have a meeting.
anything else? Yeah?
You mentioned that you're not gonna assign the new board members to committees.
Not until September.
And people can, have the new people been showing up at meetings, are you aware?
I'm having the office and notify me when people show up to meetings.
Excellent.
Anything else? Mark?
Hey, I had my hand up, but just a quick question.
Oh, I can't see
How
it.
can the meeting be called to order if there is no quorum?
That's what I said before, that the meeting shouldn't happen.
Right, so I just bring that up because then the meeting shouldn't be happening. And even discussing a resolution is out of order. Because the meeting just shouldn't be taking place.
So from now on, I'm very happy if I know in advance that I'm not gonna have a quorum, I will just cancel my
Yeah.
meetings. I will just cancel
Yeah.
my meeting.
Well, I think
It's a shame.
I feel as
So
that.
so I'll just give the
Well, I mean-
context to where this issue has always been a significant concern is regarding land use matters.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And because they're illegal to conduct the meetings that way, and our input could get thrown out at a later time
Yeah, I
and
just, for people,
challenging the whole thing. So that has come up before. But
It's
we
awkward
seem
for
to
you.
always bend the rules. And during COVID, I think that it became more the norm, that it was easier for everybody to participate. And now people are used to that, so it's much more difficult to establish quorum.
And I would rather have 6 really good meetings that have like 4 agenda items on it of a non-agency driven committee than trying to stretch out into 11 with 1 here and 1 here and 1 here.
it's just awkward for my
understand.
committee because I do, many of our meetings are in, as you know, our scope, our agenda is entirely self.
Sure, yeah.
There are exceptions. I invite people to our meetings a lot.
Yeah, I know, I
And so
know.
it is awkward at the last minute, because I might hear the day before that, you know, hey, I'm getting stuck at work. And it's awkward and sad to have to cancel that at the last minute when I've gone, you know, for all the effort to get Bellevue to come, for example. You know, Bellevue was like a 4-month try, you know, we tried for 4
How
months.
many people were in the room and how many were from the committee that were there?
Didn't have a quorum. No, we held it actually here, and we didn't have quorum. We didn't have quorum, so-and-so. was-
If I was a speaker coming in and I'd been planned 4 weeks in advance, I would think it was rude that there were not a lot of people there
I
from the
can't
committee.
that.
I know, but I would rather get canceled on than to show up to something that I moved everything on my calendar for people that couldn't move things in their calendar.
The only thing is that I will produce a report, and so the conversation at least gets shared. If I have to cancel him, it means that's another 4 months until we'll see him again. So it's just, I mean, I'm not saying that there's a right or a wrong way to do it. I'm just saying that if the considerations are a little complicated, because our committee tends to have either a cajillion people listening in or nobody. And we most often have guests come.
Have you talked with the individual committee members that you've brought their names up to me several times about their attendance?
Yeah, they have work commitments. I mean, they're assigned to the committee. I can't, what am I gonna do? Say,
Yeah, that brings up the whole issue with attendance and people not participating, because we've had this with different people who've been appointed to the board and they can't make it. And
I know, but it's not my
that's,
jurisdiction.
well, I mean, no, I understand, but that's why if this is an ongoing issue, it needs to be pursued with the borough president's office as the appointers. And through our attendance and sending it to them and discussing it, and that does happen over time when people are.
But also internally,
attending meetings.
internally.
Oh, I have Emma pull, like, I've got people that have flagged that have missed a
Just
certain
put them on
number of
different
like, how do we have a conversation? So if that's something that committee chairs are not comfortable doing, I'm happy to do that myself and talk to them. It just seems a little maybe more serious if it's like, hello, I noticed that. But I'll do it, and I'll note if there's people that a day of the week is not working, and clearly there's not a fit for that committee, so.
But if I could ask the question again, if we ever run into the situation where, let's say we checked for quorum, we were assured we'd have quorum, so we had the meeting, but then someone at the last minute didn't show up and we didn't achieve quorum. Are you saying we should not have the meeting then, even if it's a time sensitive matter where, if we can't get a resolution out that month, then we lose our ability to do that within, let's say, like a ULURP timeline? What should we do as a committee?
Well, that's a different situation, clearly. So you would want to bring something like that to exec, but not just something that's just kind of,
I understand, but I mean, am I hearing that we should definitely not have the meeting?
I think that's up to you at the time of, I can't give absolutes, like I'm not some like interpreter of the bylaws here. So it's just gonna have to happen on a case by case basis. We're doing this on a hypothetical, and I work in hypotheticals all day long and extensions, but I don't know, it depends.
Well, I wonder if, to what you were saying before, if it's time sensitive, if there's a resolution that is time sensitive, and the committee doesn't have a quorum, that might be an opportunity or a reason, a justification for bringing it to the executive committee, because it can't. So something can't wait.
Well,
Maybe.
What's done at other community boards is they do the meeting at exec or they conduct the meeting at full board. And that's how you do it. And, the harshness is our board members, we keep doing workarounds, they don't understand the consequence.
Yeah.
That's the rest of us who show up here regularly all the time. And they don't, then you do it an emergency meeting or whatever it has to be.
Like you would, yeah,
I mean,
the worst of it would be you would have the land use hearing at full board and have it voted on there.
Oh my
It's hard to
God.
have the conversation because everybody shows up.
So that,
Yeah.
That's impractical, isn't it? I mean, our meetings go so long without.
yeah, but
Yeah,
then.
I don't know that we'd have time for that at full board.
Hey, you guys, we're just like. going
Yeah,
around in
these are all
circles
like
on this.
really
Yeah, they're all
hypotheticals. I'm not,
hypotheticals.
certain why
Let me throw out an example. If you know you have a critical issue
Yeah.
and you have a committee member who's missed like 3 board meetings or committee meetings recent, you could call up the chair and ask for additions or deletions from your committee.
yeah.
To
Like,
get
let's not get to that point where it's the day of, like.
There's lots of options.
Yeah, there's a
there.
lot of options. I added myself to the landmarks committee so that they would have a quorum 2 times. So
But you also served on the landmark.
I did
So
serve
it's
on the
not a-
landmarks. I did.
Hire. And I think that's a very bad practice
have
to
a
get
quorum?
into.
Of course it is.
So you mean someone who isn't on the committee but is on the board could provide.
I'm not gonna go further into the issue.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
So, yeah. Mark, would you like to give the chair's report?
Sure.
Bylaws all
Um,
day long.
Hopefully not controversial. Anthony is not going to be with us at full board or tonight, so I'm going to steal a little bit of his thunder and say
Oh, and
that Councilmember Christopher Marte once again gave this board $5,000 in additional funding to support our operations, which I'm certain will be able to put to good use. As I think I reported last year, OMB is taking a different, yes, right. OMB is taking a different position. It used to be that money went into the part of our funds that roll over year
now
to
they won't
year.
let us.
Now they don't. So it's incumbent upon us to spend that, and we will do our level best. The street fair money still goes into that fund. And so it hasn't happened yet, and it always makes me nervous, but we have about $78,000 and change in that fund that rolls over. Of course, because it's not personnel services money, we can't hire somebody with that money, but we can spend it for things like consultants or equipment or whatever the board wills. On the same theme, we've made our very best efforts to push every expense we could possibly think of that qualifies into the fiscal year 25 budget, which ended on June 30th, so that we start the fresh year with as clean a slate as we can. And the new laptops over there are one example of that. That's 25 money, not 26. I mentioned last month about testifying at City Council about a variety of bills, all of which came back to the notion that the community board baseline budget hasn't changed in 17 years. You can now make that 18. Let's see, calendar updates. Parks and Waterfront is meeting in August, but they're going to be off-site. They're going to be at the studio rooms at the Sheen Center. This is a space that I've seen, but we've never actually used for a meeting. There's actually one of those things where there's 2 rooms, and then it'll open the accordion in between. So it should hold a good lot of people. And we will have our usual roving band of support to broadcast that. I think there's a TV in that room, so we don't need a projector, but we'll work that out. SLA 1 and 2 for the quote-unquote October meeting was originally scheduled for September, but now it's going back to its usual dates in October. That'll be Tuesday, Thursday, October 7th and 9th. The hospital is continuing to be our best friend and hosting us confirmed all the way through November for SLA. And they only give you 6 months out, so we're now requesting December. Let's see. Oh, and then finally, I guess the August calendar is going to be published this coming Friday in the e-blast. I think all the committees that have discretionary agendas have already submitted, but if there's anything changing or additions, please let me know by Friday morning so we can get it into the e-blast. Unless there are questions, that's all I've got.
Bring up one thing about the hospital and having meetings there. They started using their metal detector.
Oh, goodness.
And security guard almost dropped my laptop, my iPad, because they're making you take your items out of your bag and walking through with your bag, as opposed to looking through your bag, which is what most places do. And I just bring that up because it's
Hold on to your.
not it doesn't engender a very good response when they're doing that. So people should maybe prepare their bags before they go there
Accordingly.
in such a way. I just, it happened to multiple people on the same night.
Oh, gosh.
Ironically, they didn't do that when I brought in the entire cart full of audio.
Oh, so it's you.
Which I'll hide a bomb if you want it.
I was gonna
It's not
say,
the
the
norm that
artillery.
they were doing that. Something obviously had happened.
Yeah.
So I just,
Yeah, or they hired some new
It-
people.
It's always
We need to be nice to
reactionary.
these folks now, so.
Yeah.
Smile and do what Carter says. Okay, thanks.
Great. So the August calendar, so let's, I think it's the next page over. So committees not meeting in August based on agendas that I have is cannabis licensing, human services, land use and housing, schools and education, traffic and transportation.
There's cannabis is on the calendar.
Yeah, so that should not be on there. They're not meeting. No, right. And yeah, if there's any questions on that.
Land use should be meeting.
Actually, we have yet to receive the expected withdrawal for the one application we got.
Okay,
I reminded the attorney today, but their procs blocked under 500 feet. The new PCA regs go into effect on Wednesday, so it won't even qualify for public convenience and advantage by tomorrow. So it's a non-starter for them. I'm just waiting for it.
when will
But
you
if they-
find out?
I'll call the lawyer tomorrow in the morning.
Thank you.
All right.
And,
Thanks.
and land use has one BSA item for August, but we're in the middle of doing a quorum check
Okay.
with the members, so we'll find out before Friday, whether we will be able to have the meeting.
Okay, so Thursday. So that would be Wednesday. The 13th, right? In
Yes.
case, okay. And this is about, what happened to the discussion about the second community benefit space at Gansevoort?
Yeah, so that's on hold right now. So we didn't have that on the agenda for this month, and it's not going to be on the agenda for August.
Okay. Maybe you and I should speak offline about re-energizing the community facilities advisory. Yeah, the working group.
Working group.
Yeah, for the RFP for that space. Okay, great. So, the BSA application. Okay, great. So that is so no additional dates need to be added to the calendar. And for landmarks, we don't know if they'll need a second date. Is that correct? A second date for landmarks. We don't know if they'll need the
We have no
18th.
idea.
Okay, we have no idea. Okay, great. And, so can we all look at our calendars who are here that count for quorum for Thursday, August 19th? That's when, oh wait, I'm sorry, not Thursday, Tuesday, excuse me, Tuesday, August 19th. Since there's no full board meeting in August, I just want to get,
I will not be here.
availability.
I will not be here.
Okay, so that is Susanna and Janine. What about everyone else that counts for quorum? Susan?
Yes, I expect to be here,
Okay. Ryan?
unless I get water.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Rich?
I think I will.
Yes, okay. Emma? Okay. Eugene?
Yes.
Will you be there will you be able to attend on the 19th?
Yes.
And I don't think there's anybody else that counts towards quorum that's online, is that correct? Barb? Doesn't count towards quorum.
No,
She might be.
She would if she's here.
I don't recall when what date, what are the dates?
Why don't you just ask
Yeah,
her
I
if she's
don't,
on?
yeah. I think it goes to the end of August, if I recall correctly. The duration of Mar being online, is that until the end of August? Yeah, it's till September, so, okay. So
Yeah, it goes through August.
that's what I thought, okay. So we'll have to check on I'm just trying to see if it's even achievable with what we have, who we have not heard from, which would be Chenault, while we have everyone here. So it would be Chenault and it would depend on Donna, Chenault, Anthony, and Patricia. So we need 2 of them to attend. So why don't I find out?
Patricia will be back.
Okay, great.
She's with me now.
Hi, Patricia. Okay, so that leaves Anthony and Donna. So I'll find out tonight if we'll be able, so I don't have that information with me. So we may need to discuss the calendar at the board possibly.
Yeah, and Valerie, I'm gone the whole week, so whatever
Okay,
it is, it won't
that's
make a
fine.
difference.
I know, it's a tough
Later
time.
on earlier too,
Huh?
but that week.
I know, but then we're getting to the week before Labor Day.
Yeah.
Or
Not
the
gonna
week
Just
of
bring
Labor
it
Day.
up, like if people are,
Yeah, the week before is better.
So I'll find out tonight and then I'll send some sort of polling situation. In case-
landmarks is probably the most important committee.
Yeah,
And with the SLA behind it.
yeah, we don't want to move the date up to, for sure, but, okay. I apologize for not having that information available. I thought it would be easily achievable, but I was not correct. Okay.
Are you saying if you can't do the executive that month, then landmarks and others shouldn't meet? Is that what you're saying?
No, we'd have to move the date. But again, it's. Either we get into, I would either have to look at the 20th, I don't know what people's schedules are, so I don't want to throw out additional dates if we don't need it, so let me just find out tonight. And then if I need to do some sort of polling, that, okay. So September, can we look at September very quickly? So we have an idea of what's happening. Any date changes? Not seeing any. And then and I think we have all of the holidays on there as well, so they will end up being okay on those. But any comments on September or October?
Numbers of.
September, October is fine with me.
Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, so let me go back to the agenda, so let's see our time. And okay, so that's done. And okay, so standing committee reports, I kind of organized them a little bit differently because this is how they are in my head. So I thought how I'm thinking about
Sure what's going
things.
on in your head.
So the inner working. So Donna is not here tonight, so there is no SLA licensing 1 and 2 report. Mark reported on the date changes for October, right?
Donna, emailed me, basically said that's for.
Okay, great. Okay, so that's done. And then for landmarks, Brian, are you giving the landmarks report or,
Yes, I am.
okay, can you give,
We had 2 meetings this month. First one had 8 applications. Some were rather difficult and were denied approval for a couple of different reasons, but it just didn't meet the qualifications for landmarks and historic preservation. So 3 actually got denied out of the 8.
okay? Anything else?
Then the second meeting was last night here for 497 Hudson Street, which is the St. Luke in the Fields Mission Building. And we had about 100 people online. About 20 people actually signed up for making testimonies, statements. It was pretty much evenly divided for the ones that actually signed up to speak. But that was a denial. Yes.
And we're anticipating public session at full board. We'll likely have some people speaking about that as well. And I also made the point that it is an as-of-right building and that regardless of what the comments were last night, that they should be heard because the applicant and the architect and the PR professional for the church were on. And so it's important to hear what people had to say, regardless if it was specifically about the landmarks. So there was quite a lot about the landmarks. I implore everyone here to go look at the package that's on the CB2 site on the calendar for landmarks last night to see what is being proposed. Yes.
I was just curious because we've had a lot of conversations about St. Luke at the human services
Yes.
level. So Keen gave me like a little summary last night, but she only really described the comments that were about the actual architecture, the landmark. Were there a lot of comments about safety and the uses and the buildings and all that kind of thing?
Yes, there were. That, of course, it was brought up that there was this petition that got,
Yes.
I think, about 2,000 signatures, and after several months out there, really concerned about that aspect. Mother Stacy, I thought, was really emphasized or focused her comments on answering these concerns about safety to the best of her ability. And,
Right.
And of course, the people who spoke in favor of this building proposal also stated that they felt it was going to be a safe environment.
And was the committee's conclusion based on the architecture or any of these comments on safety factor into the committee's conclusion?
It was strictly on the
On the
architectural element.
I'm very reassured by that. Just so those of you who may not know, this petition is based on a lot of misinformation. We met with, we actually had the Village Interact Agency Task Force. Valerie and I met with them and Mother Stacy to clarify a lot of this stuff. And I think that as soon as September comes around and the school is back in session, Mother Stacy will be doing a lot more outreach to calm the nerves of people. I think that the beginning of it is that there are a lot of parents who are going to see the yard go away. And I think that that is the beginning of a reason to want this not to happen. And there's a lot of searching for issues that might be more a broader concern than just the yard.
Yeah, and
Issues of drug
then
use and mission and.
and the denial is based on, it's not, the design proposed, as I mentioned, for everyone here to go take a look at it. It is not within the context of the Greenwich Village Historic District. Brian had a really fantastic opening statement, really outlining that. And there's high gloss terracotta that's being used. That is
Dark green.
A chimichurri green, if you will, specifically. And it just is completely out of context, and it's lacks the rhythm that you would find of a architectural vocabulary in the historic district. So it looks like a suburban recreational building.
I just want to add that there was a disconnect, and probably this could have been avoided because there was some, if you Google it, there was an outreach to people in the St. Luke's in the Fields church community from April or May of a year ago. And then I think the school parents and the neighborhood parents only found out about it if they were also parishioners. And then separately, there was a lot of splitting hairs, and I think my gut is that they did a poor job of connecting with people, because they said they're gonna have a full kitchen, they're gonna hand out lunches, but it's not a soup kitchen. So does that mean they're gonna serve meals or just not gonna serve soup? Like it's sort of.
Yeah, that's what we heard.
Yeah, I think that what you speak of points to a problem. They didn't hire someone to help them with the PR on this until whenever we.
Yeah,
met. It was
Memorial Day
in the
weekend,
summer.
yeah.
And I think that Mother Stacy and the church itself really underestimated the community interest.
But
I don't need to, they underestimated the community concerns that
Yeah.
we expressed. And I think that she recognizes that now, and I think there's gonna be a lot.
I could have given her that advice for free.
Oh, so could I.
absent that,
I met
though,
with them
was-
last
Yeah.
October and I
Yeah.
shared a report on them, and then of course people just went wild.
but absent.
Last
that,
June.
The design
We met with
itself,
them, you know.
Oh, okay. Oh, your report, I thought was from June.
No, yeah, but we also met with them October 24th.
Oh, got it.
I think we're just getting away from the disconnect is on the building's architecture
No, I
as
understand.
well. It is so insanely out of context. And Brian, you
Yeah, you
brought
summed it
a
up.
great point.
Yeah.
You said, or it may have been Chenault, but you also spoke well. So, I think it was Chenault. You said the building looked like it was designed to either keep people in or keep people out. And some of the reference photographs they showed with the full metal roll down gates were reminiscent of the time period when our community did just that when things were closed, which was lock everything down. And here we have straight continuing walls. It's nothing about what the Greenwich Village historic districts are about. And there's no engagement at all. It's very easy to correct that with a different design. And
That was
I'm
very-
not sure they were interested in even hearing about that.
Yeah.
And that's what, just with that starting point, makes it very difficult to even engage on any of the uses in the building.
They were very.
Because if they're not interested in discussion of how it contextually fits in, which does go under review, then why would they even be interested in having discussion about what happens inside,
Well, I
which
will-
they can do whatever they want?
Well, I will tell you
So-
from experience, first of all, I'm very reassured to hear that LPC did exactly what it's supposed to do. You're supposed to look at the architecture and comment on the architecture, which makes perfect sense. The question of the uses is, they're very interested in engaging with the community and sharing what the uses are.
Well, yeah, but if they're not interested in what you see,
Well, that's
Is-
two different things.
no, well,
I mean,
not really, because one
They
is,
were being accused
but
of
one-
hosting a safe injection.
but
site.
one.
Right, which is what they're not. They're
But the first part is, this is the community engagement where it does happen, and they're choosing not to respond,
It was very,
and
sorry.
that's just.
Well, I know that they weren't intending, I'm sure that they were not intending to talk about the uses last night, right? I mean, I hope that, because otherwise I.
They had a whole
part of that
slide on the
whole-
uses.
Yeah, they had a whole slide on the
Oh,
uses, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I would say almost the first half hour was talking about the uses,
Yeah.
and the history,
Yeah,
but
Yeah,
it took a long time to get to the architecture.
got it. Okay.
yeah. I mean, as someone who's had experience in the design phases of construction, as Brian has as well, as a licensed architect, but as, they're in the design, they're in the schematic design phase.
Yeah.
This goes to LPC and then it's construction documents. So the programming and the input on the uses happened months ago.
Yes.
And we had an invitation from your report for Mother Stacy to come back to speak about those concerns, but that's not on us to know when they were ready to do that. That just didn't happen. So I don't know how productive or how open they are. They did not even want to speak about the cost, which was to understand more about the design choices when the cost of the building is public, per something Janine had pulled up from a report. So it was just a very odd, they were a bit defensive. I don't think that they anticipated the reaction to the design.
Yeah.
I think they
Welcome to the village.
anticipated the reaction to the programming, but
Hard to imagine.
Yeah.
The other unspoken part about all this is it's one of the worst utilizations of space in our community in a time period where space.
It's hard for me to.
I mean, to have a one-story building, I mean,
It's their land. They can do whatever they want with their land.
It doesn't-
well, that's not true, because
Yeah.
you said that they want to engage.
yeah.
And
No, they want to
so,
engage
you know,
on the uses. They want to ensure people that they are not, because the reason that they want to engage is because people have accused them of using this for a new program and a new mission that is going to attract drug addicts and homeless
Yeah,
people.
I get
That's-
that, but that's,
They
their
wanna
mission is
engage
to help
because-
people, and underutilizing their resources
Not for
doesn't help people.
Yeah.
And underutilizing the resources in a church when they could actually go to do more, they spent a whole time talking about helping people and underutilizing space in our
They could
community
build a
right
five-story
now.
building.
Yeah,
they could build a
is
seven-story
a little
building.
bit crazy. And I'm not saying some super tall building, but one story without even something on the roof or anything.
I'm not
It's
getting
like,
involved in their design.
Fine.
I have no
Yeah.
idea what their budget was.
All right, yes, I see we have Katie, and then I think we're good to move on once we hear from Katie.
Those of us who were on the board when Mother Stacy came to us probably in 2013 or 2014 about 100 Barrow Street, which they built on their parking lot at the corner of Barrow and Greenwich. we remember that this was always the plan. This building on the corner of Hudson and Christopher was part of the master plan for the entire block and included, changing the relationship with the school, the school's building up, and eventually having the money for this parish house. So it's not news to me, but it was a very difficult time then as well. And they were a little bit better prepared, but perhaps because they were working with Toll Brothers on building the residential building, and so there were PR people in from the beginning on that. So that may be a difference this time, but it was a very difficult conversation, and they didn't change anything. We objected about this and that, and
They did change the design for the building.
No,
In
there
2013?
was one area that they were building over that had never been built on in the history of this island. And we asked if they could just keep that corridor open as sort of a nod to to original open space in our community, and that did not work out.
Yeah, I just want to clarify though,
The resolution.
the CB2 resolution was a rejection. By the way, I voted yes. The developers proposed a 15-story building and they got pushback from LPC. And the LPC requested revisions to the design. And so the building was 12 stories and 32 feet and 3 stories shorter than the original proposal. They made changes to building materials. They removed a brick tower and a bunch of other stuff. Which I won't go into detail.
At the time, Janine, the developers were regularly coming to us with 15-story buildings, and then they would be knocked down to 12, and it was always part of their plan. One more.
I know, I'm just sharing that it did change. Okay. Both size and materials.
Okay, but we did, we had deeper reservations, and we couldn't make any headway on them.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Janine, for correction.
Great, thank you. So let's move on to street activities and resiliency. Eddie?
Hi, everyone. I'm here today. We'll be here on Thursday. We heard, I believe, 17 permits, 16 from our regular ones, and then one person came from the renewals to present. We had 3 denials, I believe, but 2 of them were no-shows. One of them was a pretty simple one. It was for a event themed after the singer Gracie Abrams, that they just requested a load-in permit. She was not going to be there, but it was for her, I believe she wrote a poetry book or something like that. It was just going to be a load-in for production and no line or stanchion permit. Despite this, I don't know how many of you are hip to pop music. She's quite a popular artist right now. We asked them why, and they said the client didn't want to pay for it. So we're like, you can't just do half the event and not do the other part. So that was the denial. And then the other one was a much stranger one. It was a requested permit for a street festival. It was going to be in partnership with one of the local radio stations. They basically are trying to combine 2 separate street permits, one large event with another event to create a 2-block festival, even though SAPO has sort of embargoed that. It was a kind of a strange presentation. They kept referring to how much mayor's office support they had. They wouldn't have had any.
What's the name of the event again?
Let me just pull it up here. It is.
So we have it.
Sorry, I have too many tabs.
Too many tabs.
It is the Denim Tears and Hot 97 block party.
All right, Mark, do you have anything to add to that regarding the walkthrough you went on?
Just that, to Will and Eddie's point that there was serious mayoral support for this. The actual executive director of SAPO was the person leading the site visit. And she very much was in a mood of trying to find a way to make it work. So I think that your observation was confirmed by the site visit. They did, at the time of your meeting, one of the things Will asked me to bring to that site visit was that at the time of your meeting, there was no not-for-profit partner, which is why you thought this was a multi-block festival that was sort of doing an end around that ban. They do now have a not-for-profit partner, and the partner was at the site visit. But the spirit of the site visit was, we gotta make this work. By the way, part of the problem is that the second block with the not-for-profit, and that's where the food will be. The site plan didn't contemplate that a restaurant now has 2 outdoor dining sheds that the SAPO thinks can be removed at will.
Is this the Thai diner? This is not Thai diner.
It is Piccolo something or other.
Piccolo
Cucina and then Piccolo something else.
My son's favorite.
That they can't be removed?
So the executive director said these things need to be removed, basically at their instruction, because how do you do
Can you
this?
add in about?
For the marathon, for things like that.
Yeah,
That's what you're saying.
right.
Yeah,
The Marlton Hotel
they removed.
moved their structure as a part of that, which Sean McPherson was like, well, I didn't
DOT does
contemplate
that.
that, maybe I wouldn't have built it right
Yeah.
away.
So SAPO is probably gonna be leaning on these folks to do exactly that. I don't know if you need more detail than that.
No, that's helpful.
Okay,
Not sure that restaurant floor has a strong history of compliance. That's,
Yeah,
well, he would have no more complaints with outdoor dining than he does with his liquor
I
license.
mean, if they're asking him to remove it, that'd be interesting if the city's actually coming.
yeah. Okay, so I had one, I had a question, sorry, I'm trying to pull up the exact name because it's not for an application on street activities before we move on. What's the one that had Thai diner associated with it?
Garlic, it's number 2.
Garlic. Yeah. Garlic, right. There was something raised at that meeting and I couldn't raise my hand but there was something that was said about that they're allowed to have their sidewalk cafe enclosed on Kenmare. Can you tell me more about that?
It was not a salient point to the permit that they were going for. It was in terms of Staples requirements for, the permit or anything.
I was just wondering why that was commented on, because that's not true. It was a point that was brought up as to why they should be allowed to.
I live right near to it, and I was the one that made that comment, and I was by my best heuristics on the fact, I don't know if I don't really want to get into necessarily a debate on whether or not why. I reasonably believe that they had that to be legal, so.
They actually came and they said they were gonna remove it because they know it's not legal. That applicant, yeah, so that's not a true statement, so I'd be careful about bringing that up as a point to approve something if you don't have the full information.
Well noted. If it was a salient, if it was a street activity, a outdoor dining permit, I certainly would not have spoke with as certainty as I did.
Yeah, it's just that it's not allowed. The applicants themselves and their representatives said that it's an illegal structure.
Great.
So, all right. Okay, thank you. Next we'll go to committees that did not meet earlier this month, but are meeting the last week of July. So Janine.
We have a full agenda.
Let me share. Yep.
We have a full agenda for traffic and transportation because we have was gonna be on the July agenda, plus but we did 2 of the 3 items from
Yes.
the June agenda.
Share my
So,
screen in a second.
yeah.
Continue.
but I think that, Ben is leading the discussion on the criminal summons for bike offenders, and that will probably be one of the more interesting ones. And then the other, most of them are sort of minor fixes to lots of things in our community. What's not on the agenda is gospel, because it's my understanding that many of the issues stemming from that location are because they're not in compliance with their SLA license. So a lot of the things that are causing traffic problems are because of operating problems. And Donna and I have a call with Councilmember Marte's office this Friday to talk about that.
Yeah, changing a traffic sign for one operator is not ideal for this board to get into. So that's why we want to make sure that just because we hear something once from someone, that it doesn't just get put on the agenda. So we of course corrected on that, and Mark's working on getting the 5th precinct involved, and getting all of that, and Janine's working with the legislative person at Marte's office. So let me just share my screen with your agenda in case there are any questions from anyone else.
I can just read through it if that's easier.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
this is it.
yeah.
Yeah.
The first agenda, so the 2 that were supposed to be in June were 1st and 2nd, since they were supposed to go up. And so this is a plan for a project for public spaces placemaking grant that was awarded to Open Plans. They've already been in discussion with the 2 schools that City has in the City as building, City as School High School, and then the District 75 school. And so, I don't know much about it, but I'm looking forward to learning about it along with the rest of the committee. And the second one is the criminal summons, it's the cyclist that we mentioned. I don't have the information for who requested the left turn signal. And I was the one who said that there needs to be some traffic controls at the crosswalk at Lafayette.
Okay.
So,
Got it. Okay, so again, I asked for this link. I don't know why this is up here, and I apologize. I've been teaching 16 to 18-year-olds, so if I sound patronizing, it is intentional. So, okay, this right here, like I asked for this to be removed, for there not to be this foreign article on this matter. Please click here. It leads to an article that has a biased opinion on it, and I asked for that not to be put on.
Oh, I didn't realize, I got several requests from committee members to add it back on.
That is not, no,
Okay,
that
so-
needs to be removed.
But I didn't know that.
I know you didn't know that, but I had had it removed, and I don't know why I made it back on there again. So that, again, it says that all of these community boards have all passed a certain position, and that it means we're coming in this with a biased view, and I don't think that's what the board wants to have happen. So it did not under my watch, so that's removed. And then as far as the request, that's fine if it's from the committee. It's just we want to make sure if there's any documentation or any presentation and where the request is coming from. This is how we have caught some things that should not be at the committee level, and that should go to be referred to other agencies. Katie?
You're muted.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So, hi. So I will put it on my calendar to come to the meeting, but do you think they're trying to close Clarkson Street for City of School?
I have no idea what they're trying to do.
Okay, no problem.
I have not seen the presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Janine, do you think that there is a view of agenda item 2 that it'll go a certain way, or why it was brought up, or? I know that there's a leadership change since it was on the agenda, so I'm just.
Yeah, no, I think people are up in arms about criminal summonses separately. I'm having some committee conversations about what what we should be doing about violations and, you know, all the different issues with the 15-mile, the city bikes are now capped at 15 miles versus 18. And then there's like rules, all these different rules that are
Right, there
very
was a rules
complicated.
hearing, right, there was a rules hearing
Yeah,
last week, right?
But, which I did not participate in, but
Right.
it's much complicated and unrelated to any of this, I was out canvassing quite a bit in the primary. And whether, you know, the response that cars hurt more people than bikes is not sufficient for all the people who are worried about bikes on the sidewalk.
Okay.
So you have to listen to people. It's sort of like, you know, you know, people are upset about the price of eggs and they didn't vote for Biden. And people are upset about bikes on the sidewalk. And if you are elderly and you break a hip because somebody's on the sidewalk and you're not fast enough. So it's not even necessarily that there is an accident, it's a fear of the accident, and these fears are real. So how do we balance all these issues? And it is illegal to ride a bike on the sidewalk, period. Period. So unless you're a child under 12 with a certain size.
I'll get to you, Mar, just one second. Really quickly, who is the intended audience for whatever outcome happens on agenda item 2?
The city, it's the police department, it's NYPD, and the mayor and the NYPD.
I just want to know, like, who is the letter go, like, who?
Maybe city council, right?
Yeah,
'Cause they
maybe.
run the
Okay.
laws, right?
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's great, we're gonna have a discussion.
And if actually, I should add that it probably should, I would go to the state, because personally, I personally wouldn't support any city legislation to license bicycles, because the licensing infrastructure is at the New York State level with the DMV, and I would hate to create anything that duplicates the bureaucracy, period, or
But-
conflicts.
The City ID program actually is a program that could fit into, because the city IDs are the IDs that many of the people were concerned about do obtain and have.
Yeah.
That might actually be a better infrastructure.
That regardless of
You know,
any of
you
these
just-
infrastructure, I have heard anecdotally, no data, that there's a lot more compliance by the deliveristas because people are afraid of getting thrown into an ICE detention. So you just have, you know, the reckless teenagers, like my children,
Yeah.
on city bikes.
Mar? Mar,
Hi,
Hi.
hi, yeah, I'm here. So, this was brought to schools, I guess last month or about 6 weeks ago, under the previous chair. And, you know, a lot of questions were raised. I am very
Agenda item
concerned.
1.
Yeah, agenda item 1. Why was this funding awarded to open plans as opposed to the actual schools? Or was it awarded to the schools and then open plans applied for more to expand upon this?
It was
I'm just-
awarded to open plans. If you go to the actual agenda, there's hyperlinks to where the money came from.
So I don't
Okay,
see that
so-
this- I don't see that this was on the school's agenda on July 2nd, so I don't understand. You're saying that this was discussed?
It was discussed, maybe we bring it in, maybe we don't. I'll go
Okay.
back and look at the notes, but
Okay.
we raised questions that actually never got answered. So why
Yeah,
is this open plans and why is this not the school? It feels very odd to me that this lobbying organization is in charge of this open street for the school that affects not just the school, but JJ Walker and the entire community. And what does it look like? And I mean, there were so many questions, they never got answered. I just,
You know what, I'm happy to reach out to this woman and coordinate with you, or just.
Yeah, I sent over a list of questions. I think with both of you on it, there seemed to be a disconnect.
Yeah.
I was hoping that was
yeah,
for today, but that's all right. Sounds like offline, it'll be solved.
okay, great, we'll do that.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Mark. And then I had Eddie.
Yeah, I just have a quick question. If you were expecting to address either, at some future meeting, Canal Street, given the tragic deaths that we.
Yeah, so I do have that written down on a Post-it, yeah.
Yes.
Janine, you want to talk about what we've discussed?
I mean, the answer is yes. And, there was a second accident and, there's been an email with the
Okay,
office.
could you explain the second accident? I don't think that got as much, like just a quick one-liner, just so we can.
I actually, let me just.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have all the details.
That's fine.
Because
That's
I
fine. We
saw
have to
the
go into
second
it.
accident on Twitter. I tend not to watch these videos of people getting mowed down, so I will share that with people.
Sure.
But I didn't, I just like, oh, there's another one 2 days later. Separately, CB2 has no position formally on Canal Street. During this meeting, I was looking up, there was a meeting I attended, but I think was my chair. And I know many members of CB2 were also on it. There was a city DOT meeting about Canal Street, envisioning and fixing Canal Street. And that was in March of 2021 or 2. It was fully Zoom, given the COVID situation. And they talked about plans. Separately this summer, I was at an event and I ran into I was stopped by the Transportation Alternatives table, asked about what was going on with Canal Street. And I'd heard, again, haven't confirmed this, is that they are gonna move forward on the west side, but they're not ready to move forward on the east side. And I verbally had confirmed that with the council member in District 1. And I just don't know where east and west begin. So there's a little digging to do on that. But I'm happy to share the presentation that the city gave in 2022 with, more people if you'd like to see it, Eddie. But this is a real problem, and that meeting was, obviously had people from Community Board 1, Community Board 2, and Community Board 3, given that it's sort of a dividing line for lots of different neighborhoods.
Remember we had that walkthrough?
Yeah, and a year later, we had a walkthrough, but it was more associated with the Onipod bike thing and the changes to the Grand Canal Courts, all the projects sort of right around Sixth Avenue. Yeah, so that was.
Oh, yeah, that walkthrough.
That wasn't necessary, none of those.
I heard about that walkthrough.
Yeah, but none of the projects were necessarily related to Canal Street. It was just, they were all near Canal Street and Sixth Avenue.
That's right. And there was the expectation that there'd be chaos for a long time.
Yeah, but all of these accidents, frankly, it's not the biggest problem is cars whiz off the bridge and they turn and they lose control. So the part where you need the traffic calming measures is not in CB2, but where people are getting hit, depending on what side of the street you're on, is
in CB2. You land in CB2 if you get.
Yeah, you get hit on the CB2 side.
Yeah.
Fly over.
Come on into CB2.
There's not a lot that
As a flat
can come out
pancake.
like what happened, because that was somebody who was severely intoxicated, speeding.
A stolen rental
Like,
car.
when they're not watching the lights, they're, because those are
Those are
most of
drunk
the
driving.
measures, that are taken. But what could be done is some safety bollards, along those
Yeah.
areas, and that's something that's not hard to do, that we
Nor
could ask
expensive.
for in the short term.
Yeah. And there was-
And there was a letter that the office got today to sign on.
yes.
I haven't actually seen the letter.
Yeah, I
because
saw it
the email
come
got
through.
forwarded. It didn't come through, but we don't have a position, so we can't sign on to the letter.
Yeah.
Eddie, any other questions on that?
No, thank you for the rundown.
Yeah, there's a September, I'll send this to you,
Yeah, thank you.
You were copied on the original email, but this can change as you have, so do that. So human services.
So, you say that we did not meet earlier this month, but we did meet in June.
Oh, apologies, yes, you're right.
And we had two topics of conversation. We had met, the Village Interagency Task Force had mentioned show vans, and we didn't know what they were and wanted to know what they are to see if it's something we want to advocate for as a community board. So we got a presentation about what they are. It stands for, I can't remember what it stands for, but they are vans there's one on Delancey Street. They are mobile health vans, and they are designed primarily to serve people who are unsheltered homeless. So we learned a lot about that. It will be in a report that I'll share about what it costs and who does it and what it's good for, and it's an H&H program. And then we met with someone from Bellevue, which is something that we had wanted for a long time to understand what the impact is and may become of the closure of Beth Israel. Beth Israel was Bellevue is the only trauma center. If you break your leg in Greenwich Village, you will go, if you fall down the stairs, as my parents' aide did, you will be brought to Bellevue, which means that there's going to be a lot more traffic at Bellevue. And also Beth Israel was a psychiatric emergency center, and that is now closed. So the only one in Southern Manhattan is at Bellevue, which raises a lot of concerns to us. Bellevue's in a really old building. So ultimately we wrote a resolution. Ultimately we discussed a resolution that would ask for increased investments in Bellevue. And that would go to the state. So we did not have a quorum. So it was a conversation. We drafted a resolution, and Valerie has suggested that since it's not timely, we can wait and do it at our next meeting, which is totally fine. Now, our next meeting is next week, but this is problematic because our original agenda was planned months ago. Greenwich House has expanded. They have a wellness center on Mercer Street, which is also where they do their methadone program, and they've expanded their services. And so we wanted them to come and tell us about what they are. In the meantime, there was this New York Post article that Valerie has referred to, and people are up in arms. I'm getting emails from people on our board and people in the neighborhood, and everyone is freaking out. So Valerie, we have to figure out what we want to do about this, because I don't know what the initiative is that you're talking about with the city, and I wish that you would include me on this, because
There's nothing, there is no other information. So as I've mentioned, as I mentioned, it's not public, so I don't have any other information.
Okay.
So
in that
there's
case,
really no more to speak about it until I'm given more to share. So it is counterproductive for us to have a conversation on the whole area at this point in time. We're not being directed by anyone to not take any action. This is a decision that I have made, that I've discussed with you privately, that until I have more information to share, I just don't have any other information to share. It'd be counterproductive for us to pass a resolution when there's something bigger that'll actually have 100 times more impact.
So in this case, and actually we haven't discussed this, I would like to cancel the meeting, because I think it would be folly to have Greenwich House come in to talk about additional things they're doing, when if anyone attends that meeting from the public, they're going to want to know about why there was a picture of a guy shooting up on their estate. So I think that we will cancel the meeting.
Sure.
And the resolution on Bellevue can wait another month. There's no timing at all. And I will do that with Greenwich House. And then I hope that you'll just keep me posted on what's, even as an offline conversation, so that I can help coordinate this and plan this so that we have productive conversations.
Yeah.
And I think that is it. So I will tell my committee.
I was gonna say, one of the things, and because this is in my community and I've seen it all the time, this is actually a little bit related to COVID and what happened. The decriminalization of activity on the sidewalks has really changed the comfort level of a lot of people who are using, and it was predominantly isolated to Crosby Street between Houston and Bleecker. And that street, the business owners and the property owners have changed the storefronts so that people can no longer hang out there. All the store owners, because the stores are so deep, are building new storefronts on the Crosby Street side. And the push is spreading people out where it's very visible. And just a couple of Sundays ago, beautiful Saturday afternoon, the people sitting on this Lafayette Street right next to the newsstand. And it's because there's no more comfortable places to go that it's really out in the open. And they
What do you
used to
mean by
go,
comfortable places?
like out of the traffic, you know.
Like places you can hide.
Yeah, like just tuck into the corner or whatever. And so they end up at the subway right in front of the elevator, and they're just everywhere. And the the local police officers, that's not an illegal. I mean, there's nothing they can particularly do about it because people are calling them. I've watched neighbors when there are people sitting in front of, literally on the sidewalk in front of their space, calling the cops, and it's sort of, they have to talk through this uncomfortable situation, but it's become a problem because there are no spaces right in the immediate vicinity.
So,
So
I've spoken
and
to
that's-
Greenwich House into the
so-
6th precinct, so it's sort of crossways between.
It's mostly in the night
precincts.
precincts.
And so Greenwich House, first of all, there was a New York Post article that was saying that Greenwich House was a safe injection site and that they're responsible for all the drug activity on the street, which of course is very painful for them. And they were not happy with that. They've met with the 6th precinct, and I spoke to the 6th precinct in the hope of inviting the 6th precinct to our meeting. What Greenwich House says is that some of the activity is not in the 6th precinct, but the other precincts are not as responsive as the 6th precinct. It's a, whatever.
I mean, the night
It doesn't
precinct's very
matter.
responsive. I go to all the NCO meetings, so they're super responsive.
My plan was to have some law enforcement in addition to Greenwich House, so that it wasn't a Greenwich House agenda, the agenda item was quality of life issues, and it wasn't attached to Greenwich House, because Greenwich House has been on the receiving end of all the concerns. But I think that we're gonna scrap the whole thing until whatever this development is that develops, and then we can have a full discussion.
Yeah, and I would say that community council meetings at the precincts are important in sector meetings and driving people to those as well. I mean, the model of what the Village Interagency Task Force has done in terms of the data that they have of having placed like 16 individuals that they provide, like got into like homeless services and the data behind that. I'm interested in that model and how do we replicate it at this other area here? And so I'm hoping to have some answers on that. Yes.
And we should talk about that too, because, well, whatever, we should talk about what the data is and it's.
Another place where there's a regular shooting up is on that sort of right in front of the NYU building where there's some seating. It's technically New York City Park space on Mercer and
Yes.
3rd Street. No, not that you, I mean, you can, if you walk this way after this meeting, you can see it.
Right.
And, you know, I often walk by there when I'm, what? The Cogen plant, yeah. And it's technically a park. I had previously thought it was NYU, but there, literally I was walking, I mean, I walk by there all the time. There's people shooting up, and I was walking by at like 5 o'clock, walking my dogs, and I called, I was like, I'm not gonna call 311. And then I called the 6th precinct, and then I got bounced around, and they're like, well, actually, you're supposed to call 911 if people are shooting up. That's what the 6th precinct told me. And so I called 911, and, you know, it was, they're like, what do the people look like? I'm like, well, and they were super high, like, you know, practically going over. And I said there was 2 men and 1 woman, and I don't remember what one of the men looked like, you know, because you're not lingering. But they're pretty much always there, and I walk by another day. So I don't know what happened, but if you do call 911, it goes in the CompStat data.
Yeah.
The other thing is also, we were told by VITF, by the Village Interagency Task Force, that if you do, it takes 5 311 calls on the same location to elevate the case, which is interesting to know.
Because I don't know who else got it, but I was BCC'd on something from somebody complaining that they, you know, their 311 complaint was dismissed and they were annoyed.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of drug. So anyway, we all know that there's a lot of drug activity. There is this interagency task force, which is this experimental program. It's the 3rd place in Manhattan that it's being done. And it's encouraging. And one of the, you know, the unintended consequences of it is that people move. They move from the park and they go other places. And now you're seeing them in other places. The other thing, there was something else I was going to say, but I can't remember what it was. Anyway.
So what I placed up here is and why this is not to be just talked about at a meeting at the end of the dog days of summer is because this touches all 4 precincts. It's very Broadway and Houston and Lafayette. So that's this is a bigger conversation outside of just the 6th precinct. And again, like this isn't going to be solved in an email chain with there's an email chain I'm copied on where there's board members and there's people from the public on there, and we're just not going to solve those in a vacuum there.
Yes.
So I really highly discourage, everyone should come to the meeting when it happens and at the appropriate.
And I would like to say that I've gotten, a lot of emails from people on our board and people who often come and participate in our community asking us to address this now. And this was how we were going to address it. And now, thanks to your leadership, we're going to wait and address it when you think it's the right time to address it, and people should not get on my case.
There's no one signed up for the meeting. There's
Let's go back.
people signed up.
Well, it's not on the agenda. It's not on the
That
agenda.
happened during the crack epidemic, and they addressed the crack dealing in Washington Square Park, and it got pushed out, and it went everywhere else. And there are residents that show this, and then it moved over to Bowery and to Broadway. And the same thing is happening now.
Yeah.
You get some micro successes in areas where there was a lot of drug use, and it's getting pushed out. You see it in the park, people are getting pushed out. You know, the small part of Crosby Street, they're taking action, the building owners, and they're doing things. And all their cameras are shared directly with the precinct. The precinct can look at their cameras on all those buildings at any time. So the successes are because it's being addressed in one place, but the larger issue is what can we do today? And what can we do larger than that? And I think what the pressure we're hearing is what can we do today as this stuff moves around, and there's not a lot of answers. And that's hard to do, right? You can't. commit
Not with
everybody
without
to
city
somebody.
agencies sign on to take action, and that's
You know,
why I think
and
we need more
it's
critical.
heartbreaking to watch, and that was one of the
Worst part.
things that I was very touched by the Village Interagency Task Force, is that they put it so much attention on individuals that they're actually able to push the daily contact, that they got some people placed in housing and, you know, off the streets. And that's not maybe the model everybody wants to see.
Yeah.
There was a result, and that's more of a result than we've heard.
Well,
At
they
least
have
in
the-
my time of stuff happening.
Yeah.
So
456 needles picked up from Washington Square Park. I mean, there's hard data associated with it. I'm just interested in how that model's been successful and what we can do with this area here.
Just a couple of, not to dampen your spirit, but, you know, one thing they don't know is that they put 14 people in housing. They have no idea who stayed, who moved, who's back on the street. They really don't know. And I think that actually it's wonderful that there are people who are getting some kind of response. This task force has unbelievable access to city agencies, unbelievable access. So it's great. And
that's what we're hoping to replicate.
We would love to have that all over the place. That would be great.
Great. Rich?
Yeah, you've got it. This was a meeting we were trying to have in July, and I wanted to preface this. This was, this meeting came through Parks as a request. They wanted to, and through Eric Botcher's office, they wanted to have some public hearing on Dapplito. Eric was getting a lot of pressure from Andrew Berman to get an update on the status of Dapplito Center from Parks. And then the new commissioner, still relatively new, Tricia Shimamuro, asked me for an opportunity for her to request some funding out of the open space fund that for bid manages. She has a broader vision now that she's really working on, and that's why I find that Clarkson open street thing is interesting. She thinks of the whole corridor, from Houston to St. Luke's, from Hudson to Barrett. That not just the new space in 388, not just the new Hudson Houston Plaza, not whatever becomes Dapplito and the outdoor pool. She wants to reimagine or re-envision the entire corridor as a recreational area. And which actually is something we've talked about. I mean, Coral had this idea years ago, and we were like, impossible. But now it's a big idea. It could be great. So she had really asked, and so we didn't have quorum in July, and quite honestly, I don't think Commissioner Shimamura was ready. But Eric was upset because he wanted something to deal with Andrew. So anyway, we're trying, and she asked if we could do it again in August. Mark's been helping me. It looks like we have a quorum.
Okay.
But if we don't have we'll find it. So
Yeah.
we're still on for it. Oh, the other thing was we didn't have enough space for the army of people Andrew was threatening to bring. And so we canceled in July. It's a little weird to do it in August because people are like, oh, you stuck this through in the dead of summer. That's a thing.
I was just making sure, like, there wasn't, I didn't know how timely any of this was, so that's why I asked.
Yeah,
I
no.
really appreciate your partnership on the quorum, and because you had raised that flag, I kind of caught it, and I was like, could we check? And that just kind of, I really appreciate it.
Really bad. You were right.
Yeah, I really,
I mentioned this to you, because of COVID, we were able to do meetings all year long, all the time.
Yeah.
And now we're back in the summer of groove and
Yeah.
people aren't around.
yeah.
And I think we have to be a little cognizant that the summer break, that we do it before or after. because
Yeah.
It's difficult to respond, right?
Yeah.
It's a valid point. And that goes up and down to everybody, right? Because we were able to be very nimble.
Yeah, but this is a nice,
COVID and
this is a
everybody
nice,
participated.
like a good agenda, you know, if it's people from the public, people on your committee, other board members, it feels like a good use of their
But
time.
it's the first week in August.
It is, I know, no, I know,
Alex was prepping for it. It was a big.
so,
We'll see. If we can do it, we're gonna do it. For what, all of those reasons.
Yeah.
And again, Commissioner Schumer may say, please, I'm not ready, to do it again, so.
and I'll send back the Parks and Water, I don't remember if I put this in a Google Doc or not, so we can, we can iterate on whatever needs to be moved or whatnot, so that way it's kind of a live thing. Okay, and then Schools and Ed is not on, and they're meeting in September, there's their, agenda. And then land use, BSA, anything, I don't know what these dashes are here, they're not intentional. Eugene, is there anything you'd like to report on?
No, just that there's that one BSA application. And Mark is still double checking to see exactly where we are on the calendar to see if we have enough time to get it done. Basically to see when we need to get the resolution done and passed.
And remind me the location of or the address or the general area, do you have that?
I just 1 minute, don't have it handy.
That's okay.
West 12th Street. It's Little West 12th Street next to the Brass Monkey and across from the Whitney planned expansion.
That's a dog run?
No, it's east, it's between the Standard Beer Garden and the Little Brass Monkey. It's a very small lot. And
Okay.
I don't really understand their hardship. So this will be an interesting one.
Okay.
You want the timing?
Is it useful to talk about the timing here, Eugene, or no?
If Mark has an update on the timing,
Like, who are we waiting on to make the decision on the timing? It's just not clear to me.
I have,
Okay,
you can decide what you want to do with it. So we get 5 days from the date of mailing, even if the thing arrives earlier than that. It was mailed on the 16th, so therefore our timing started yesterday. If you go the 60 days out, that's the day after full board in September. So theoretically, that's the case. BSA also said that they sometimes schedule their public hearing before the community board timing expires. But they will leave the record open. But that does mean that you can't bring a resolution to the hearing. You can only bring whatever you've got at that point. So depending on.
does anyone ever testify at BSA hearings from land use?
occasionally, I mean, I've testified at BSA meetings in the past, but I
Okay.
mean, we don't
I was just
normally send someone.
We haven't had many BSA applications, big ones lately.
Okay, so,
Do 2 meetings closer together if we wanted to do 2 meetings, because that's traditionally what we've been doing is we have the presentation, everybody comes and talks, and then the business session separately. I mean, I don't know if this is significant enough or what you guys think, but it could be 2 meetings in a.
I guess you just have to weigh, do you want, if you can't have quorum in August, it could be heard in September.
Right, and that's why we were counting the days, because it's literally within
Yeah, we would have to be sent out the Friday, the morning after, right? Okay,
Right,
which is
exactly.
doable, right? Okay, all right, I think that's, anything else on that? Okay, cannabis, go ahead, Eugene, did I cut you off?
No, I was just saying no, that's all.
Okay, okay, so cannabis is, Mar had to step off, so we'll find out if that meeting's happening. What about any new business? Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn? Thank you all very much. This meeting is adjourned at 8:01 PM. Thank you.
See you all Thursday.
Bye. See you Thursday. I told you to be careful.